Welcome back. Today I want to share my solution for dissolving anxiety. This has been the system that has allowed me and many of my clients to change their relationship to anxiety and intense feelings and allow them to feel a sense of safety and calm in their bodies. What if you could experience this too? What if you could begin to respond differently to the world around you and feel a sense of safety and ease? So the feelings of anxiety can be a result of many different things, not just psychological. It can be physical, from many different imbalances like hormone imbalance, blood sugar imbalance, nutrient deficiencies. Could be from dehydration, or anxiety could be a result of mental emotional distress, and it also could be energetic. Let's focus on the mental emotional in this video. So when we feel anxiety, it's when we are outside of our window of tolerance and we don't feel safe in whatever form. We get overwhelmed, too much input is coming at us. The window of tolerance is described by Dr. Siegel to be the best state of arousal or stimulation in which we are able to function and thrive in everyday life. So when we're outside of that, we're not thriving. When we're outside of that, we often feel anxious or overwhelmed, right? And I think just being aware of our own window of tolerance and their idea of the window of tolerance and what triggers us and gets us outside of that is actually very helpful. It makes us feel more in control, like in the moment we have more awareness and then we have more choice. And when we're outside of that, we can be aware of that and maybe choose something or use a tool like this to get back within our own window of tolerance. So everyone experiences some sort of intensity or stress or overwhelm at some point in their lives, right? There are some that have high levels of anxiety, some of us, or severe anxiety. And some of us who experience maybe some similar sensations that may or may not label it as anxiety. So it's a bit of a spectrum when it comes to anxiety. Some of us have bigger windows of tolerance too. Our windows of tolerance are often based on our past traumas, experiences, our current situation and experience, coping mechanisms, or lack thereof. So no matter where you are on this spectrum, the system I'm about to share with you can work for you. It can make a huge difference just practicing even just one of these 3-step processes. So I want to introduce you my ABC solution to dissolving anxiety. It's essentially a 3-step process strategy that you can use in the moment when you feel anxious, anxiety, intense feelings, overwhelm. So as I'm teaching it, I want you to have an experience with it. So I want you to think of something right now that brings you anxiety, or think of a time of day where you typically feel anxious, and just tap into that for a moment. Take a deep breath. And the first step, the A of the ABCs, is acknowledge. So I want you to acknowledge what you're feeling, and by naming it and saying it out loud. For example, in this moment, I feel sad, I feel angry, I feel shame. And the trick is that you want to acknowledge it, but the biggest key here is when you name it, to try to let go of any judgment. So you name yours now. In this moment, I'm feeling. So when we acknowledge and honor and name the feelings, instead of pushing them away or labeling them, we're able to break that cycle faster. What trips us up is that when we have anxious feelings, they often don't feel very good. They feel uncomfortable. So we push them away. And when we push them away, they actually build intensity, build emotion. And the issue often becomes more scary in our minds than it actually is. When we acknowledge, we can move through it faster. So trust that the anxiety has come up for a reason. It's actually a message. So what if we took the time to actually honor it? So this is the first step of the anxiety dissolving solution. The next step, the B, stands for be with all the sensations. Learn to be with it even if it's uncomfortable. And I get that. It's not comfortable. But where do you feel the physical sensations that come up when you have those feelings and those thoughts? Where does the anxiety lie in your body mostly? Where do you feel constricted? In your head, your scalp, your belly? Is there shaking, trembling? Do you feel constricted, tight? Notice any body movements, twitching. Notice your posture right now. And just let yourself observe for a few moments. What's interesting is our body will keep giving us these intense feelings, these messages, I like to call them, until we actually stop and listen and can learn from them. I think the reason we don't want to feel the sensations and the intense feelings is because we think they're going to stay for a long while. But the cool thing I've learned in practice, in my own life, in my experience with clients, is that this acknowledgement and this being with the sensations, owning it, honoring it, is actually what gets us through it way faster. And the energy behind the intensity, the anxiety, we can work through it, move it out, and we don't have to suffer from it mentally, emotionally, the physical distress or dis-ease in the body, and we're not pushing it down for later. So when we learn to be in our bodies and be with it, what's showing up, even when it's uncomfortable, being with whatever's showing up in our bodies. It's a really somatic type of therapy and healing and helps us heal on all levels. So that's the second part of my anxiety dissolving solution. And the last step, the C, stands for curiosity. Get curious. Get curious by asking questions. What's the message? What's the information, body, that you have for me here? What is the need that's not being met, whether physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, right? And what would it take to shift this? Notice I didn't ask, why is this happening? Why me? But I bring in curiosity and possibility with my questions. So tap into that right now. Does your anxiety have a message for you? You are intuitive and psychic more than you ever have been told or led to believe. You are freaking so wise, especially about you and your body. You're the one that's been living you for decades. I want you to own that wisdom and begin to listen deeper. So there could be biological and physiological imbalances going on creating this, or it could be more psychological. So you want to be curious about both and ask questions and ask it to be revealed to you. And it's not going to happen in that moment, most likely. But if you're willing to listen, the information will show up at the perfect time. And if you give it space to come to you through meditation or different mindfulness practices or journaling, it will come. And you'll begin to start to see this in your world when you start to play with this. I believe anxiety is a message. It's like a warning from the body. The body's always wanting to protect us. Or maybe it's a need that isn't being met, whether it's a physical need, emotional, mental. Often when I have anxiety, it's when I'm not asking for help or asking for what I need and having boundaries. So either with my husband, my partner, my family. So if I can notice that ahead of time and speak up for what I need, it helps tremendously. And it keeps me in my window of tolerance. Or maybe it's a message for me to drink water or slow down or eat more protein or fat, right? Start to listen to those messages. Start to trust your own knowing. And you want to begin to open yourself up to more answers, to receiving. I like to put my palms up and just ask the universe, the forces that be, the divine, God, whatever resonates and is true for you. Asking those questions. Please provide me more information here. What else do I need to know? Again, asking it from a place of curiosity rather than desperation. And that's a huge difference energetically. Okay? So remember, A is for acknowledge. Acknowledge and name the emotion, the feeling. And then B, be with it. Be with the sensations in your body. It's a very somatic approach. Get in your body. Be with your body for a moment, even when it's uncomfortable. Notice what's coming up in the moment. And then C, get curious by asking awesome questions. What would it take to shift this? Body, what do I need to know? How do I get more information about this? And again, we want to leave out judgment out of the equation as much as we can and be an observer and be really, really curious as we ask our questions. Never a victim mode types questions again, like why me? Why is this happening to me? Right? Staying out of that victim mode. And then really allowing yourself to tap into receiving. Just put up your palms and ask for the answers to come when you need them most. So I'm so excited to see what shows up for you when you start to own your own wisdom and when you start to apply this ABC solution to dissolving anxiety. And also just what it shifts for you just by having a different perspective, maybe towards anxious feelings or anxiety. I invite you again not to label them as anxiety, but to label the feelings as if it's in the moment and not something that's stuck to you. I have anxiety. I'm anxious. I have anxious feelings right now. See the difference? Awesome. All right, that's all for now, ladies. I'm wishing you so much ease and space and safety in your world. Bye for now.